It is with deep gratitude let us offer our pranams again and again at the lotus feet of Bhagwan for giving us one more opportunity, a golden opportunity I would say, to be able to sing his powerful name, the powerful shrine of Bhagwan. It is no small grace. There could have been many, many obstacles. There could have been 100 excuses for not doing this. But despite everything, we get this opportunity to sing together. And what's more, Bhagwan is coming into your houses. The very shrine of Bhagwan is coming into your houses to bless you there. Didn't Bhagwan say, you don't have to come all the way spending money and time to see this beggar. You just have to call this beggar's name and this beggar would come there. And he's coming into everybody's house who joins us. And we have to be very grateful to Bhagwan. Now let's have some glimpses of Bhagwan, some leelas, the stories of his glory. One Usha Rajagopal had come from Chennai to have darshan of Bhagwan at Swaminathan Street House. She used to worship Bhagwan. She, just by buying flowers for 1 rupee every day, a string of flowers, she offered it to him every day without fail. And then she would get very busy with her everyday routine. This was all the worship that she was doing apart from chanting his name. And then suddenly the fortune came her way and she was allowed to have darshan of Bhagwan. She came with her family. She was all excited. In her excitement, and in her starting early from Chennai, she forgot to buy this 1 rupee string of flowers and came promptly to his Swaminathan Street house. And Bhagwan seated her there, and the very first thing that he did was, Usha, come here. And he put his hand into this long, deep pocket of his and pulled out 1 rupee coin and said, Usha, you go to the bazaar and buy a string of flowers and bring it. And that's when it came like a slap to her. She remembered that she did not do it that day. She was in a hurry to get ready. And this was Bhagwan. She immediately went to the bazaar, got a string of flowers and came running to him, put it at his feet with tears. Swami, please forgive me. Bhagwan simply smiled. This was his way of letting her know that he knew everything, every worship, every kind of worship that is offered to the picture of Bhagwan goes to him. He knows and he rewards suitably. And the second story is something we have heard before, and many of you might remember it also. In any case, we can relive that experience, because talking about the Leelas, listening to the Leelas is spiritual sadhana. It's a spiritual activity. An ashram is meant for this. It's a spiritual activity. An ashram is meant for this. This old man had meticulously picked up these tumbai flowers. They are very, very small, tiny, tiny flowers. And the plants are few and far between in any field. He somehow, with great difficulty, collected all those flowers and strung them into 4 strands, not just one strand, but 4. It must have cost him quite a bit of time, quite a bit of labor. And then he came to the ashram with great eagerness and waited for his chance to garland Bhagwan. But then the ashram has its own rules, and he could not get near Bhagwan. So he was sitting and crying with closed eyes. He was sitting, praying and crying. And Chandrasekhar of Aruppukkottai happened to be sitting right behind him. He saw the garland. He saw this old man sitting and crying. He also knew this man could not go near Bhagwan. Bhagwan was sitting there smoking and blessing people in his own way. And all of a sudden, he got up. He began to walk up and down, and then came straight to this man, sat by his side, and bent his head for the mala. Chandrasekharji knew immediately, but then this man was busy crying. He was wallowing in his own grief that he could not garland Bhagwan. With closed eyes and streaming tears, he was still sitting and crying, not knowing the very divinity is by his side, waiting to take the garland. Just see the irony. This is what we do in many of us in our lives, not knowing that what we seek after is right our doorstep. We get to wallow in our own quagmire of suffering, refusing to see what is waiting for us. And then Chandrasekharji just touched his shoulder and immediately opened his eyes, and you can imagine what this old man would have gone through. The ecstatic joy of seeing Bhagwan sitting by his side, ready to take the offering from his hand. So joyfully he garlanded Bhagwan, and everybody was deeply touched. I remember another incident related to something like this. Once when I was seated there with Bhagwan in the Sannadi Street House veranda, there were many, many people. There was a long queue up to Arunachaleshwara Mandir, and many, many garlands that day. We do not know why such things happen on a specific day, but they were there, many with garlands. And Bhagwan, every time somebody entered with a garland, he would oblige them by taking it and putting it on his neck. Soon it had come up to the scalp. And what was more, some of them were dripping, wet and dripping water, and he had to remove one after the other, only to see some more garlands coming inside, one after the other. So every few seconds, I was sitting there, and he was saying, "Oh, look, this beggar's plight. See what they are doing. They are not even aware, they do not even know that they are garlanding me. They are bringing wet garlands. They are so heavy for one thing, and they are dripping water." That, they said. So here I was thinking, my God, we must be very careful in future not to cause this kind of inconvenience to him. So the next time I was going, the students pestered me to take them for his darshan. I said, okay, but one thing, we should not take any garland. They said, ma'am, no, we all want to make one garland for him. We will do it. And they sat through the whole night. They strung a very beautiful mala with varieties of flowers. But I warned them, only if the opportunity presents itself, we can garland, otherwise just keep quiet, keep it aside. You wait for my gesture, I said. And they all nodded their head. I told them that Bhagwan doesn't like anybody garland him, so we should be careful. So the next day, right from the moment we entered and were seated, Bhagwan was ready and people brought garlands. He would so cheerfully call them and put them on his neck, so readily. And there was a next garland, immediately he would say, come. And then he would put it on himself. It was one garland after the other, so many of them, and all the time he was very cheerful, happy, always ready to take a garland. The students were watching the whole show and they were giving me a stare. Ma'am, what did you say and what is happening here? I felt terrible. I knew that one could never define our Bhagwan. One would never know what he would say next, what he would do next. So here, finally one of the students got up and said, Swami, we have brought a garland for you. Will you kindly accept it? And it was as though Bhagwan was waiting for this moment. He said, yes, come. Bring it. Because he knew how the students had done the whole night. They did not have a wink of sleep. So he readily accepted and blessed them all nicely. I felt very bad. But then I knew better. I learnt my wisdom. Now we shall come to the most interesting story, the story of his glory. Everybody knows Sri Swaminathan, a trustee of the ashram. At one time, he was in Tiruvannamalai for a few years. He was working here in Tiruvannamalai. And those days, they came to know, through his uncle, they came to know about Bhagwan. So Swaminathan ji and his wife, Kanthi, and their daughter, Lalitha, who was only 9 months old. So the couple took the child and they found him sitting outside one of those vessel shops. And there, when they put the child at his feet, he blessed her And then he gave a bowl of curds to Kanthi, his wife, Swaminathan's wife, to feed the child. 9 months old child, Bhagwan blessed a bowl of curds. So this was the first experience of the child Lalitha. And the next scene is, the girl was 4 years old, very cute, and she happened to give a dance performance in her school, for which they rewarded her with a toy elephant, a plastic toy elephant. And of course the child held it very dear. And then she wanted to show it off to Bhagwan. So in the evening, at that time they were spending many evenings with Bhagwan. So they rushed to Bhagwan, and the girl, with a great pride, displayed her prized possession, this toy elephant. Bhagwan smiled and with such tenderness said, "Lalitha, will you dance for this beggar?" And child that she was, you know the way the children are, you cannot force them to do anything. They should be free to do it. They should get into the mood for it. And it doesn't always happen when you want it. She shook her head and said, no. She was reluctant to dance before him. Again, Bhagwan coaxed her, saying, if Lalitha dances for this beggar will give her a toy horse. And then somehow, with some reluctance, she danced before him. And after that, Bhagwan gave 5 rupees to Sri Swaminathan, asking him to go buy a toy horse for her. And when he brought it from the bazaar, to her wonder, this toy horse was so much like her toy elephant, her prized possession. Same color, same design. She was very happy. And when Bhagwan gave it to her, she expressed her joy. And then, next time when she went, Bhagwan told her, Lalitha has a toy horse and a toy elephant. When Lalitha feels hungry, she will eat chapatis. Will she feed the horse and the elephant also feel hungry? Will she feed them? Lalitha, the child that she was, she said, no, they were toys. Bhagwan let it at that. And the next time, second day, Bhagwan repeated again. When Lalitha feels hungry, she will eat chapatis. When the horse and the elephant feel hungry, will she offer food to them? She smiled and said, they are toys. And the third day, again he repeated. And then he said, this time, Bhagwan added one more sentence. He said, when Lalitha feeds this dog, this horse and elephant, this beggar will accept it. Whatever she offers to this toy horse and the toy elephant, this beggar will accept it. It will come to this beggar. This beggar will accept it. What an assurance. Just imagine, when he said that, they must have come alive. The toy horse was no more a toy. It was a live divinity. And the toy elephant was no more a toy elephant. It came alive. It came alive with his power. He had done this prana pratishta just by one sentence, one sankalpa, one assurance, without any stone image or a metal image, with no Veda mantras, with no abhishekam, with just one sentence, by assuring this little child that when Lalitha offers food to this horse and elephant, this beggar will accept it. And child Lalitha, for her part, she believed it. This is faith. Hadn't Bhagwan said several times, faith is greater than God? The child developed faith that this toy horse and the toy elephant were no more toys, they were Bhagwan. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, they became Yogi Ramsuratkumar to this little child. And what was more, in one of those following days, Bhagwan also said to Lalitha, her parents, Lalitha will do abhishekam to this horse and elephant, and she will do puja. And then he said, only Lalitha must do it. What to say? This is Bhagwan. This is the divinity. Just one sentence. And to a child, it develops faith immediately. And then, when Mrs. Swaminathan was pregnant with a second child, there came the time when she had to go to Nagapattinam for her delivery. So Bhagwan visited their house at the time. He went and sat before the horse and the elephant, and then said to Kanthi, Lalitha's mother, when Kanthi goes to Nagapattinam, Lalitha can also go. Lalitha will go with Kanthi. And when Lalitha returns, Kanthi will return. Because if Lalitha goes, what does it mean? If Lalitha goes with Kanthi, she'll be taking her toys, the toy horse and the toy elephant, which meant taking Bhagwan with her, which in turn meant Bhagwan would be with Kanthi. She was going for her delivery, and it was Bhagwan's way of telling Lalitha and Kanthi at once that he would accompany them. He would be there with both mother and daughter. This is the way Bhagwan operated. This is the way Bhagwan always spoke. He never said anything directly. So Lalitha says, what he had done that day when I was a child, till today, it has assumed major importance in my life, major significance in my life. Now till today, when I get upset about something or when I get anxious about something, when I confront problems, I go and confess it to the toy elephant and toy horse. They are no more toys. We should not even refer to them as that. She would go and sit before the elephant and the horse and confide. And she says, after that, she would feel light-hearted. She would feel at peace. She is now in Bombay with her husband and 2 grown-up girls. What a touching story, a very different, inspiring. So Bhagwan can come into a toy horse and a toy elephant and bless people, bless a child, bless a family. When Bhagwan's picture itself is with us, a photo, it cannot be just photo. whatever we offered before, Bhagwan's photo or Bhagwan's murti. He is taking it, he is accepting it straight away. Now that Bhagwan is here, right in front of us, in the form of his murti, with his hand raised in benediction. There's a constant flow of grace from his hand for all those who seek it with care and devotion. From this story we see whatever Bhagwan says is completely divine and truth for us. Bhagwan used to give names to children when the parents brought a newborn child for naming. Bhagwan would give a name. I had seen it myself sitting with him. But then Bhagwan said, this beggar gives names because they come and ask, but they do not always call the children by that name. They don't understand. It's a great blessing. Every time they call the child with the name given by Father, it's a blessing, a new blessing to the child. But unfortunately, either they shorten it or they don't call the child by that name. They stand to lose the blessing. They don't understand that. And then he gave me an example, a family which came with a baby girl to be named by Bhagwan, and he gave the name Urmila. And then he said, Bhagwan said it to me, he said, they did not call the child by that name, they gave some fancy name. After 22 years, they had named an institute by that, Urmila Institute. This is what Bhagwan told me. And by this story, he made me understand again, when we go and ask him for something, and then he says something, he answers, then we have to follow him strictly to the letter. Now that Bhagwan had told us that those who enter this ashram will not go back empty-handed, that Father's blessings are pouring on them, whether they are aware of it or not. He even added, this is the truth. And true to that, many, many devotees who come here experience the abundant grace that's prevalent here. Now to this Bhagwan, we shall offer our today's prayers.